pharmaceuticals have the highest numbers of lobbyists in Washington trying to pass laws to keep on selling what they sell, whether it's good or bad for your body, right? So one thing you might want to consider is if the companies that are going to be providing the vaccine for the flu, for the coronavirus, how much are they going to be profiting from selling the equivalent of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, supposedly finding a cure for something that perhaps was created for that reason. Number two, governments might take it as an opportunity to raise taxes next year. Say, hey, we give you a stimulus check. We provided the vaccine. Now we're going to raise taxes a little bit, but forever. And number three, it's a great social experiment to see how much we can be controlled by the authorities. I want you to consider those three things and respectfully tell me your view. And I'm open to hearing what you think. But it seems to me that there are these other forces at play because some things don't make sense, such as we couldn't go to work, we couldn't go to church, but you can go to a grocery store and you can be touching all kinds of products and bring them to your house, knowing that this fomites, I don't know how you say that in English, all the stuff you buy could have potentially the virus. I bet if you go into your house, you've been coming from the outside, you've been touching things, it's there. So it's not so much completely isolating yourself from the world. It's having a strong immune system. Yeah. So many of the people that died, they already had comorbidity, which is they had other causes of death. My mom being a pathologist, my dad being a gastroenterologist. I remember one time my mom who would say she'd rather be doing autopsies than doing dishes. She would say they never die. People never die from one thing. I was talking to my dad yesterday. He was the director of a hospital in our city where I grew up, about 500,000 people. And he was director for over 20 years, I think. And he was saying, yeah, they die, but they had other problems. People had heart problems, liver problems. Somebody's been smoking for 40 years, and maybe they died with the virus, but not from the virus. It's impossible to determine that somebody exclusively died from it. And our government is saying that it's using very liberal numbers.
It reminds me of a chiropractor would say that there's like a bucket, your body's just storing up toxins or dealing with stuff going on, and all of a sudden it can be one little thing that you do, the last drop that tips the bucket, and all that junk, causes reactions in your body. But it really wasn't that one thing. It's the whole bucket full that you're feeling the effects of now.
Yes. Thomas Edison said, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. I remember talking to my parents growing up, because I observed my parents interacting and talking to us about their medical lives growing up. And then when I turned 13, my dad wanted me to become a doctor, a surgeon like himself, or some sort of doctor. So he would bring me into the operating room, taught me how to dress and how to wash. I ended up helping him in some operations. And it wasn't for me, the medical field, but after we got married and started learning about health, I started having conversations with my parents, asking them, you know what? In medical school, they don't teach you about health, about prevention. They teach you about disease. And don't get me wrong, if you break a bone, go to a doctor. If your appendix ruptures, go to a doctor. But maybe a doctor does not know how to prevent in the first place.
Well, and one of the illustrations I like that you say is, if you have a headache, we have just learned that, I have a headache, I got to take a Tylenol or an Advil or something. And no, that shouldn't be the first thought. We have a symptom. We're not just trying to get rid of that symptom. We're trying to figure out why. And usually, most of the time it's because you're dehydrated and you need more water. Maybe you need sleep. Maybe you need more oxygen, but we shouldn't just think, I have to have medicine.
Yeah, I remember we were driving back from visiting our daughter Natalia for Mother's Day a couple of weeks ago. And what happened when you were driving?
I don't know.
Little light came on the dashboard.
Oh, yeah. So the light came on in the car, And we didn't go to a mechanic and say, can you like take the wires out so that light doesn't shine because it's really bothering me there on the dashboard. No, you know, it's like, it's there for a purpose. It was like a reminder. Cesar's looking it up in the book because we weren't sure what the little wrench was. It's time to get the oil changed. Time for a tune-up, you know? So it's a good thing that those lights come on. You know, it's a good thing maybe that you got a headache because you need to drink water.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is the Bible says in Hosea 4:6, my people perish because of lack of vision, because of lack of knowledge, says another translation. And I think people can be manipulated and controlled. And we were talking about it with our friends from Romania who grew up during the communist regime there. And it's by lack of information that you can be controlled and fear. So I want you to become educated. We're just inviting you, want to give you some tools so that you know that the best way to combat this virus is by strengthening your immune system, by living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that what, you know, we believe in the Bible, we believe that God is our healer. And so as Christians, we shouldn't be afraid. You know, we have to be wise. I understand that. But we should be the ones bringing just that spirit, not a spirit of fear, but of love and of a sound mind. Like, we know that we don't need to be afraid. And I know it's controversial about whether or not you're going to go into the stores without a mask, but I decided, because I like to follow rules, you know, and so I could highly recommend something that I want to like be sensitive to everyone, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to be the smiling face in that store. I'm going to be there looking healthy and not afraid, because people, I mean, it's just becoming a thing, you know, to be afraid, to be wary. And I think we need to come against that in the opposite spirit too. You know, yes, be wise. And if they say you have to wear it, wear it. Be respectful. But anytime you can, you know, I think come in the opposite spirit and let people know they don't need to be afraid.
Not in a confrontational way, but
no.
Educating in love. If they ask you, why are you not wearing a mask? Like, you know, you don't need it. If you're living a healthy lifestyle. We're talking about not the people that are already so immune compromised. I'm talking about.
You can't even say that, honey, really.
What?
That they don't need it, because you don't know. There are people that might be going home to a 5-year-old son who's very sick, and they need to wear, they need protection. It's okay. I don't think we need to tell them they don't need it, but I think we can say, you know, I'm healthy, and I believe that I don't need to be afraid of getting the coronavirus.
Yeah, I should have said maybe I don't need it. And I know somebody might say, well, but you might be contagious. Well, 96% of people recover without hospitalization. The 4% of people who don't recover, 90% of that 4% already had another problem, another health problem, another health issue. So let's talk about how we can increase your immune system. I don't want to just create controversy, but give you some tools. Did you know that studies show, and this is by Dr. Colbert, MD, studies show that we can reduce our risk of deadly diseases such as heart disease by 80%, more than 80%, and cancer by more than 60%, simply by leading a healthy life. Our body is an amazing, amazing structure that God created. Have you thought about that? How you're, like from your bone structure, which is so light and yet so strong, your circulatory system, which is the plumbing in your body that where your blood and your white cells travel throughout your whole life, your nervous system, you know, which is founded in your brain, in your spine, and sends signals to your whole body, your muscular system, which is that incredible system that obeys perfectly that nervous system, along with the bone structure system. And the incredible thing is that your mind controls your brain. We can't study scientifically the mind because the mind is not tangible. You can't observe it with your 5 senses, but we can study the brain. In robotics, which I've been supplying components to robotic companies for 20 years, they've been studying for decades how to replicate in a most rudimentary way something that comes so natural, like the movement of the hand, which is so complex. What about you?